For thousands of years, the legend of Atlantis has been dismissed as a fantasy, an invention of Plato, nothing more than a philosophical allegory. Yet, deep within the oceans and buried beneath layers of forgotten history, new clues are emerging. Advanced mapping technology, unexplained ruins, and mysterious artifacts are forcing scientists and historians to ask a dangerous question. What if Atlantis was real? Think about it. Civilizations like Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Maya were once thought to be the oldest advanced societies. But what if another, far greater civilization existed long before them, only to be swallowed by the sea in a single, catastrophic event? If Atlantis truly existed, then our understanding of human history is incomplete. The timeline we trust, the story we've been told, may all be missing a crucial chapter. The evidence is mounting and it can no longer be ignored. Atlantis may not be just a myth. It may be the key to uncovering humanity's deepest secret. Across every culture, humanity has carried stories of lost worlds, tales of cities swallowed by floods, empires buried beneath deserts, and civilizations erased from memory. Yet, among all these legends, one name has stood above the rest: Atlantis. First described by the Greek philosopher Plato over 2,300 years ago, Atlantis was said to be an island empire of immense power and knowledge, larger than Libya and Asia combined. According to Plato, in just one night and one day of misfortune, Atlantis vanished beneath the waves, lost forever to the sea. For centuries, scholars have debated whether this was simply a moral lesson disguised as myth or a record of something real. But here is where the story changes. In recent decades, scientists have uncovered evidence that challenges the line between legend and reality. Submerged ruins off the coasts of Spain, strange structures near the Bahamas, and geological proof of massive ancient floods are forcing us to reconsider the possibility that Plato's tale was more than imagination. If Atlantis was real, it was not just another city. It was the cradle of a forgotten chapter in human history, a civilization that could rewrite what we know about the origins of technology, culture, and the rise of empires. Ancient origins of the Atlantis story. The story of Atlantis begins with one man, Plato. Around 360 BCE, in two of his most famous works, Timaeus and Critias, Plato described a vast and powerful island civilization that once existed beyond the Pillars of Heracles, known today as the Strait of Gibraltar. This was no ordinary place. Atlantis, he said, was larger than Libya and Asia combined, rich in resources and unmatched in military strength. Its people were not just prosperous. They were advanced in knowledge, engineering, and governance, creating a society that seemed centuries ahead of its time. According to Plato, Atlantis was originally blessed by the gods. It was a land of abundance, with fertile plains, a strong navy, and magnificent temples plated in precious metals. Yet, over time, its people grew arrogant. They turned away from virtue and were consumed by greed and conquest. The Atlanteans sought to expand their dominion across the Mediterranean, threatening even ancient Athens. It was then, Plato claimed, that the gods decided to punish them. In a single catastrophic day and night, Atlantis was swallowed by the sea, leaving nothing but memory. But where did Plato get this story? He insisted it was no invention. Instead, he said it came from older accounts passed down by Egyptian priests to the Athenian lawmaker Solon, who lived nearly 200 years before Plato. According to this version, Atlantis was not a parable but history, real events preserved in foreign archives, waiting to be told. This claim is what makes the Atlantis mystery so powerful. Plato was not writing fiction in his dialogues. He was a philosopher known for embedding truth within lessons. Was he simply creating an allegory about human pride? Or was he revealing fragments of a lost reality? The skeptics versus the believers. From the moment Plato's writings were rediscovered in Renaissance Europe, Atlantis ignited passionate debates. Some scholars treated it as allegory, a moral tale designed to warn humanity about arrogance, greed, and the downfall of powerful empires. To them, Atlantis was never meant to be taken literally. Plato, after all, often used stories to communicate philosophical truths. The sudden destruction of Atlantis, they argue, symbolized how even the greatest civilizations can collapse when they lose balance between power and morality. But the skeptics never silenced the believers. For every historian who dismissed the tale as myth, there were explorers, scientists, and dreamers who insisted there was truth behind the legend. They pointed out that Plato gave remarkably specific details, exact measurements of the island, descriptions of its concentric rings of land and sea, its laws, and even the minerals found there. Why would a philosopher invent so many precise details for a simple parable? The age of exploration only fueled the believers' fire. As Europeans sailed into unknown waters, discovering new continents and cultures, the possibility of a lost world no longer seemed absurd. Thinkers like Francis Bacon, Ignatius Donnelly, and later writers argued that Atlantis might have been the mother civilization, the source of knowledge for Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Americas. To this day, mainstream archaeologists tend to dismiss Atlantis as legend, while alternative researchers and independent explorers claim new evidence proves otherwise. This tension between myth and reality, science and speculation, is what keeps the Atlantis mystery alive. For skeptics, it remains a cautionary tale. For believers, it is the greatest archaeological treasure hunt in human history. Geological and archaeological clues: if Atlantis was real, where could it have been? For centuries, explorers and scientists have searched the globe for traces of a sunken world, and what they've found is both fascinating and controversial. One of the strongest theories points to the island of Santorini, ancient Thera, in the Aegean Sea. Around 1600 BCE, a catastrophic volcanic eruption tore the island apart, sending massive tsunamis across the Mediterranean. The eruption was so violent that it buried entire cities in ash and changed weather patterns for years. Archaeologists discovered the city of Akrotiri, preserved like a time capsule beneath volcanic debris. Advanced architecture, multi-story buildings, drainage systems, all centuries ahead of their time. Could Santorini have been the inspiration behind Plato's tale of a once great civilization swallowed by disaster? Others argue that Atlantis lies further west. Off the coast of Spain and Morocco, underwater researchers have found massive circular formations that mirror Plato's description of concentric rings of land and water. Satellite images reveal strange patterns near the Doñana National Park, sparking theories that this was once Atlantis's capital before it was destroyed by floods. Across the Atlantic, in the Bahamas, lies the mysterious Bimini Road, a series of underwater stone blocks stretching half a mile. Some say it is nothing more than natural limestone formations. Others believe it's the remains of a man-made harbor, perhaps belonging to a lost island culture. Modern technology has added even more intrigue. Sonar scans and satellite imagery have revealed enormous structures beneath the ocean floor, walls, pyramids, and even what appear to be road networks. Though many remain unverified, the sheer number of unexplained underwater sites keeps the Atlantis debate alive. What makes these discoveries powerful is not just their mystery, but their timing. Plato's account described Atlantis as destroyed 9,000 years before Solon, placing it roughly 11,600 years ago, a time that coincides with the end of the Ice Age, when massive floods reshaped coastlines worldwide. Could the sudden rise in sea levels have swallowed entire civilizations, leaving only fragments for us to rediscover today? Atlantis and global myths of lost civilizations. While Plato's story of Atlantis remains the most famous, it is not the only tale of a great civilization lost to water. In fact, nearly every corner of the world carries a legend of a sunken city or a catastrophic flood, raising an important question. Were these myths simply coincidence, or do they preserve fragments of real events? Take Mesopotamia, often called the cradle of civilization. Ancient Sumerian texts speak of a flood sent by the gods that destroyed an advanced society. This narrative closely mirrors the biblical story of Noah's Ark. suggesting that the idea of sudden destruction was deeply embedded in humanity's earliest records. In India, ancient Hindu scriptures describe the city of Dwarka, said to have been swallowed by the sea thousands of years ago. Remarkably, divers off the coast of Gujarat have discovered submerged stone structures, leading many to believe that Dwarka was not just a legend, but a memory of a real lost city. Among the Maya and Aztec of Central America, there are tales of great floods and civilizations that perished in the waters, while Native American tribes also passed down oral traditions of ancient lands drowned by rising seas. Even in Scandinavia, Norse mythology tells of Ragnarok, an apocalyptic event involving floods and destruction. What is striking is how these stories, separated by oceans and cultures, all point to the same pattern: civilizations destroyed by sudden catastrophe. To many researchers, this collective memory hints at a global event, most likely at the end of the Ice Age, when melting glaciers caused sea levels to rise by more than 100 meters, permanently submerging vast areas of human settlement. Atlantis, then, might not be an isolated myth, but part of a much larger puzzle, a worldwide memory of civilizations lost beneath the waves. The most recent evidence, in the last few decades, technology has allowed humanity to peer deeper into the oceans than ever before, uncovering mysteries that were once impossible to detect. What we are finding has reignited the debate about Atlantis, not as myth, but as a potential reality. In 2001, researchers using sonar equipment near the coast of Cuba discovered what appeared to be massive stone-like structures, arranged in patterns resembling city streets and pyramids, submerged nearly 600 meters below the surface. The site, sometimes referred to as the Cuban underwater city, has never been fully explored due to its depth, but satellite and sonar data suggest it could be man-made. If confirmed, it would push back the timeline of advanced civilizations by thousands of years. Off the coast of Spain, near Cadiz, archaeologists uncovered what they believe to be remnants of circular structures eerily similar to Plato's description of Atlantis's capital city. Advanced satellite mapping revealed buried rings beneath marshlands, leading some scientists to argue that ancient tsunamis may have wiped out an advanced coastal society and buried it under layers of mud. In Turkey, discoveries of ancient stone pillars at Göbekli Tepe shocked archaeologists. Built over 11,000 years ago, this site predates Stonehenge by 6,000 years and challenges our understanding of when humans first organized into advanced societies. While not Atlantis itself, Göbekli Tepe proves that advanced civilizations existed far earlier than previously believed, supporting the idea that Plato's account may not have been pure fiction. Even genetic research has joined the conversation. DNA studies from ancient remains suggest that advanced seafaring cultures may have spread knowledge across continents long before the rise of Greece or Egypt. These findings align with theories that Atlantis, or civilizations like it, could have served as a bridge, transmitting knowledge that shaped the ancient world. The combination of sonar mapping, underwater archaeology, and genetic discoveries does not give us definitive proof, but it does paint a picture of forgotten civilizations erased by rising seas, cataclysmic disasters, and time itself. And within this picture, the possibility of Atlantis shines brighter than ever before. What if Atlantis was real? If Atlantis truly existed, the implications would be staggering. It would mean that human history as we know it is incomplete. Our textbooks tell us that the first advanced civilizations emerged around 5,000 years ago in Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Indus Valley. But if Atlantis predates them by thousands of years, then our timeline of human progress is deeply flawed. Imagine a civilization capable of constructing monumental cities, mastering navigation, and perhaps even possessing technologies we still do not fully understand, all before the dawn of recorded history. It would force historians to reconsider how knowledge was spread, and whether ancient cultures like the Egyptians, the Maya, or the Sumerians inherited fragments of wisdom from an even older, forgotten source. But there is another lesson, perhaps the most powerful one of all. the fragility of greatness. Atlantis, according to Plato, fell not only because of natural catastrophe but because of human arrogance and greed. This mirrors what has happened throughout history. Mighty empires collapse when they believe themselves invincible. Today, with rising sea levels, climate change, and environmental threats, the story of Atlantis is no longer just about the past. It is a warning for the present, a reminder that nature can erase even the most powerful civilizations in the blink of an eye. The one truth behind the legend. For more than 2,000 years, the legend of Atlantis has stirred both imagination and skepticism. Some see it as a moral lesson, others as the greatest archaeological mystery of all time. Yet, whether Atlantis was a real empire swallowed by the sea or a symbolic story crafted by Plato, one truth remains. Its message still speaks to us today. The new evidence, submerged ruins, geological records, genetic studies, suggests that humanity's story may be far older and more complex than we were taught. Perhaps Atlantis was not a single city, but a memory of many civilizations lost to the ocean during the violent shifts of the Ice Age. Perhaps Plato was preserving history disguised as philosophy, or perhaps the ruins still lie waiting beneath the waves, silent and untouched, ready to rewrite everything we think we know. Atlantis endures because it reflects both our greatest dreams and our greatest fears. A world advanced beyond its time, erased in an instant. A reminder that civilizations, no matter how powerful, are fragile against the forces of nature and the choices of humanity.